What happens when what should be a casual sit-down with a comedian turns into something closer to a minefield made of words? The studio lights are warm, the set feels like a cozy living room meant to disarm guests, and the mood at first seems playful. But when Prince Harry takes his seat across from Trevor Noah on What Now, what should have been a light and entertaining exchange slowly unravels into one of the most strained, tense, and uncomfortable interviews either man has ever faced. Trevor tries to crack jokes. Harry shoots back with sharp remarks, and before long, the laughs vanish. What follows is not comedy at all, it is confrontation. The What Now set was carefully built to look soft and welcoming. Two comfortable armchairs faced each other. A small low table between them with a pair of mugs filled with coffee that nobody really expected to drink. And books and lamps arranged with purpose to create the impression of an intimate living room hangout. It was supposed to lower walls, to make it easier to talk. Trevor Noah, wearing his trademark easy grin and radiating his usual smooth charm, greeted the camera and the audience at home before turning toward his special guest. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice balancing playfulness with respect. "He's a prince. He's a husband. He's a father. And somehow, every day, he still manages to get the world talking. Please welcome Prince Harry." Harry walked onto the set with the stiff, measured smile of a man who knew every eye was locked on him, but didn't want to reveal how much it bothered him. He shook Trevor's hand quickly, almost formally, and then lowered himself into the chair with the body language of someone determined to show control. He leaned back with the posture of someone who felt he owned the space already. Trevor opened warmly. "Harry, first of all, thank you for being here. I know schedules are crazy, and let me tell you, LA traffic has broken better men than me. You survived, so congratulations on that already." The crew laughed softly off camera, but Harry didn't join in. His reply was curt. "It wasn't that hard. I've dealt with worse than traffic." Trevor chuckled, brushing past the tension. "Fair enough. Though personally, I still think LA traffic is a form of medieval torture. But let's start with this. Life in America. You've been here a few years now? How's it treating you?" Harry tilted his head back slightly, the ghost of a smirk curling his lips. "How's America treating me? I think the better question is, how am I treating America? And honestly, I'd say I've elevated the place." Trevor's eyebrows shot up in mock surprise. "Wow, elevating an entire country, huh? That's a big one. Usually I'm just happy if I can elevate my Uber driver's mood." The smirk didn't leave Harry's face. "I'm not joking. My presence alone brings attention, headlines, and influence. That's reality." The air shifted. Trevor, ever the professional, nodded slowly as though giving Harry room to soften the comment. But Harry didn't. Instead, he leaned further into it. "Okay," Trevor said carefully. "So let's talk about family life here. Morning routines, school drop-offs, all that everyday stuff people at home love to hear about. What's that like for you?" Harry let out a dry laugh. "Normal? Nothing about my life is normal. And honestly, I don't think people need to know how I take my kids to school. Questions like that are just tabloid fluff." Trevor held up both hands in a playful gesture of surrender. All right, no carpool stories. But, people do like connecting with the human side of public figures. If I admit I burn my toast every morning, suddenly everyone thinks I'm relatable. Doesn't make me less of a comedian." Harry shrugged with indifference. "Maybe you need to be relatable." "I don't." The crew shifted slightly, the mood noticeably cooling. Trevor gave a half smile, still trying to steer things. "Got it, let's shift gears. Growing up in the royal family, it's a world most people can't even imagine. When you look back at that childhood, what do you see?" Harry's eyes narrowed. "I see a gilded cage. People imagine castles and privilege, but what it really is control, pressure, a life without freedom. Honestly, it was a miserable way to grow up." Trevor's expression softened, his tone gentle. "That sounds heavy, man. And I think people will sympathize with that. But at the same time, some would argue you also benefited a lot from that system. The opportunities, the connections." Harry cut him off sharply. "So what? I didn't ask to be born into it. That doesn't mean I owe it gratitude. If anything, I owe myself for surviving it." Trevor blinked, surprised by the sharpness, then forced a laugh. "Well, I don't know about you, but I owe myself a lot of money if that's how it works. I survived public school lunches." The crew laughed, but the tension stayed. Harry didn't even crack a smile. Trevor, still trying, pressed on. Let me ask this. Your mother, Princess Diana, she was loved worldwide for being open, vulnerable, honest. Do you feel you carry that same responsibility to be open with the people who admire you? For the first time, Harry's smirk hardened into something darker. Don't compare me to her. I'm not here to be some saint for the public. I'm not here to please anyone. If people don't like me, that's their problem. The temperature in the room dropped. Trevor leaned back slightly, his tone now careful. All right, that's a strong answer. He shuffled his cards, forcing a smile at the camera, though his eyes betrayed unease. As the first segment wrapped, Trevor thanked Harry for his candor, though the word sounded less sincere than usual. The set that was meant to feel like a cozy living room no longer did. It felt like a boxing ring, and the first punches had been thrown. The cameras came back after a short break. The lights were warm again, but the mood was cold. Trevor clasped his hands together with his practiced smile. But in his eyes was the unmistakable look of a man steering through dangerous waters. Welcome back to What Now? We're still here with Prince Harry, he said smoothly. And I have to say, man, you don't hold back. Which is good. My audience loves honesty. You should see them when I try to lie about being taller than The Rock. Doesn't work. The crew chuckled. Harry leaned back unimpressed. I've never needed comedy to make myself worth listening to. Trevor's smile froze for just a second before he recovered. Right. Good thing I do then. Otherwise I'd be unemployed. He let the joke pass gently and pivoted. So, let's talk about life here in the States. You've mentioned finding peace in California. What's a typical day like? Harry scoffed. Typical? Again with that. My days aren't typical. I don't wake up worrying about rent or catching buses. I'm not living like everyone else. And frankly, I don't see why I should pretend otherwise. Trevor tilted his head, instinctively forming a joke. Okay, so what you're saying is, if you ever got on a bus, the bus would have to bow before moving. The crew laughed loudly, grateful for the levity. Harry didn't blink. If I were on a bus, it would make headlines. That's reality. Trevor's smile dimmed again. He leaned forward, voice softer. I hear you. But don't you think part of why people tune in is to see where you are like them? They know you're not on the subway, but people want those small human details. Harry waved a dismissive hand. People want too much. They think they're owed every detail of my life. That's why I left Britain. Constant intrusion. I'm not here to satisfy curiosity. I'm here to speak on my terms. The tone was ice. Trevor sensed it. He tried another angle. All right, let's go bigger. The monarchy today, what do you see? Tradition, history, something meaningful still for people back in the UK? Harry leaned forward, disdain in his voice. What I see is an outdated machine. A monarchy built on empty rules and rituals. They call it duty, but it's really just control. It suffocates. Trevor nodded slowly. That's heavy. But you know, many would argue you did benefit from that machine. Education, protection, a platform. Harry cut in, his tone condescending. Benefit? That word gets used too easily. I didn't ask to be born there. Any so-called benefit was just the leash being gilded. The crew shuffled uncomfortably. Trevor gave a nervous laugh. Well, for the record, if anyone's putting me on a leash with gold, I'd at least want it 24 carats. The joke landed weakly. Harry crossed his arms. Trevor pressed. Let's talk about family. How's Megan? How are the kids? I know people are curious, Harry snapped. People are always curious. Too curious. My wife is fine. My children are fine. And frankly, their well-being is no one's business but ours. The idea that I need to perform my family life for an audience is ridiculous. Trevor raised a hand. Fair enough. Even I try to keep my mom out of my routines, though she sneaks in sometimes. But don't you think sharing just a little helps people feel connected? Harry leaned in, eyes narrowing. Connected? That's not what they want. They don't want connection. They want access. And I refuse to give it. The silence that followed was heavy. Trevor tried another light jab. Man, if this interview was a Tinder date, you just swiped left on the whole world. The crew chuckled, but Harry shook his head slowly, smirking. Maybe the world deserved it. That line sucked the laughter out of the air. Trevor exhaled, tapping his cards on his knee. The mood had curdled. The casual vibe was gone. Harry seemed intent on tearing through every ounce of goodwill. "Okay," Trevor said quietly. "Let's shift again. Your mother, Diana, admired worldwide for openness. Do you carry that legacy?" Harry's eyes flashed. "I'm sick of being compared to her. Everyone wants to shove me into her shadow. She lived her life. I live him."